As you can see, I have the golden oak cabinet door here from my bathroom, and it's kind of dated and old. And then I use General Finishes antique walnut gel stain, and after 2 coats, I got that color on the right. Occasionally, you gotta do 1 coat. You know, you're not going to get everything; it'll still show some of the orange. The second coat will cover just about everything, and the third coat. You can put a 3rd coat, but not really a coat, but like fill in the gaps where you want to make it look better. And you can use this, and I use the sock, or you could use a brush, it doesn't matter. The sock's actually a lot quicker. The brush is more accurate. Now on the door itself, when I took it off the cabinet, I drilled holes on the corner by the hinge. Like this one has 4 holes, so I know it's the 4th door in the cabinet. You want to kind of keep track of that stuff because these holes aren't going to line up on each door. So before you do anything, drill a few small holes in the door, not going through of course, but just to mark it, and that way you'll know which door goes to what. The first thing you do is basically you get like sandpaper. I've used like 150 grit. I got it from Harbor Freight. It was like $2. And then I got this from Harbor Freight. It was like $8. It's a hand sander. I probably wouldn't recommend getting it from them because this one kind of locks up, but it actually still works. But if you're going to do anything long term, you might want to get a better one than this Drill Master they have at Harbor Freight. So basically, what you start out with is you take all the material, you just have to scratch up the surface a little bit so the material sticks better. And then you could use the automatic sandpaper for the flat surfaces, but then you're going to have to use fold one up and go with the grain and try to take this off. Basically, you don't want to take the wood off, you just want to take the polyurethane filler off on the top. I'll show you a little bit of it right now. That's pretty much what you got to do. You got to just take off the first coating. It might need a little bit more down here. Yeah, that should be good for the fat piece. And then you would do all this in the back, of course. Go back and get all the corners that you couldn't get with the sander. And then you would tack rag it with like a wet towel or something, a damp towel, and get all the material that you sanded off so it's nice and clean. And then you start getting ready to do your first gel coat stain with your sock or your paintbrush. I buy the dollar paintbrushes from Dollar Tree, and those seem to work okay. So that's the first step. When I get to the next step, I'll start the recorder again. Alright, these are the kitchen cabinets. We aren't working on these right now, but I wanted to show you what they looked like prior to the staining. Alright, here's the actual bathroom I'm working on right now. It's got a Formica top, of course, which is going to have to be done with as far as that goes, but I took the doors off it already. Alright, these are the 5 doors I'm working on right now. They were golden oak. I lightly sanded them with the sander and hand sanded them, and most of the shine is gone. You don't have to really kill yourself doing it. Just try to scratch the surface with it. Go with the grain. Now I got my General Finish walnut stain there ready, and my vinyl gloves, which you're going to need because you don't want this stuff on your hands. It's hard to get off. And I got a regular paintbrush, a Dollar Tree paintbrush for $1. I got like 3 or 4 of them. And the original doors I used the sock, but I'm out of sock, so I'm going to start using the brush now. You could actually use a paper towel and do this as well. I tried all kinds of stuff, you know, and it seemed to not really matter because this stuff goes on so smooth and stuff. We didn't get the Java color like most people did because we didn't want the doors that dark. You're going to find when you put your first coat on that you're going to have a lot of streaking and stuff, but don't worry about it. You do your second coat, you cover all that up, and the third touch up you pretty much finish it, and then you can polyurethane. So here's the General Finish antique oak color. I had stirred it prior, so I'm not going to stir it again, but make sure you stir it every time you use it. And I always start like from the top and from the cracks here. And you see how dark it is. Originally it gets really dark like this. And you just make sure you get all the cracks first, because that's going to be hard to get later when you get... This stuff dries really fast too, so you have to kind of work pretty quick. And it doesn't matter if I go by the grain right now, because this is I'm just trying to get this stuff laid in there right now. But when you do your final rub, you have to go with the grain, or you're going to have weird looks on your wood. It'll look kind of weird. You can always sand it off. It sands off pretty quickly, but that's just more work you don't want to do. So you just pretty much get this stuff on as quick as you possibly can. I'm not actually doing it very quick right now, I guess, but let's just get it going. Doesn't matter if it's on even or not right now, just get it on. And I have it on top of some pieces of plastic so it doesn't touch the plastic material on the bottom. And what I usually do is I paint the sides as well with a drier brush than I have right now. I'll dry the brush off a little bit. That way it's got a coating on the sides, and it's not going to drip as much to the bottom. If it does, you're going to have to do a little bit of sanding, but it's no big deal. It comes off really easy. So you just do this. You don't want to waste this stuff, because most of it's going to be, you're going to pull off with a towel or something anyway later on. So don't get too aggressive and thick, or you'll be wasting your material. I'm going to do the sides a little bit now that's a little dry. I'm not really worried if I get it all, because it's going to take another coat anyway. Alright, so that's pretty good right there. So then you just try to blend it in a little bit better. You see how the orange is coming through. Some of the material wasn't sanded as well, I think, or it doesn't stick as well. So you have some of the orange go through, but that's no big deal. You just, when your second coat, you can clean that up, and the third touch-up, you'll really clean it up really well. It's actually on there really thick right now, maybe a little too thick. And you're gonna have to, I let it dry overnight. You may not have to do that, it dries really quick, but it's sticky until overnight. I'd rather just do one coat, let it sit, and then overnight do another coat. Alright, so that's pretty good. That's got good coverage. Now I got this towel, which is kind of wet, which it shouldn't be, but, and I kind of just lightly touch it like this, so some of the grain still shows through. And by doing this with the paper towel, you can actually do the edges a little bit. Watch out, because it does take off a lot of material. So this is just to pick up any extra paint that's in the edges like this, and then you could just smooth it out. Now it doesn't look very well, right? It looks like kind of crappy. It looks like kind of old wood. And you can leave it like this, or you can go further. I don't like it like this. So this is just the first coat. And you just keep rotating the towel. It'll stay on there. And you want to get rid of some of the deep black stuff, because if it's too black, it's not gonna match as well. You'll be able to fix it later, but it's more work. So you want to kind of just get it all even as much as you can without taking a lot of material off. And for now, that's probably good for now for this coat. And so you let it dry overnight, and you do the next coat, and you just put it on darker and darker until it gets to what you want it to look like. Okay, here's what the cabinets look like after the first coat. I put it on so that it covered each section, and then I removed most of it with a towel so that we can still see the grain. It kind of looks really country, but don't worry about that because this is just the first coat. It's going to look country in the first coat. Now here's a side piece that's actually not made out of wood. It's like a paper veneer, so it's just a picture of wood. But you can see it still keeps the grain going for the gel coat. As you add more gel coat, though, that grain disappears dramatically. It may also get to the point where it's just going to be looking like brown. When I'm done, I'll show you. But for now, this is what we got. Okay, this is what it looks like when it's done. Two coats of antique gel coat from American Finishes, and then I went back and touched up and made sure that none of the light grain showed up. I liked it better without the grain showing, so it's really dark brown. I also put a couple of coats of polyurethane over it so that it's protected. If you don't do that, you can easily scratch this stuff off. Here's the side that had the paper veneer, and it pretty much went on like paint. It's really just dark brown, just like the front. The grain really doesn't show through at that level of stain, so it almost looks just brown, but it came out alright. And crappy countertop, of course, but I put those rails on there. They were really cheap online. They're not the easiest things to put on. I also put the hidden hinges in there too as well. Originally there was hinges on the outside, but I had to drill those holes and put the hinges on. That was actually pretty simple to do. I thought it'd be a lot more work. It does take the bit a long time to go through the material though. So far it's holding up pretty good. Okay, this is my other bathroom. This one, you could see it a little better because it's a little brighter in here. I pretty much put 2 coats of antique gel coat from General Finishes on there. And then I had to really like go back and fill in a lot of the spots that were not picked up the first 2 times. The cool thing about this stuff is if you miss a spot, you can go back and reapply, even take it off. And I put those rails on there so that I have something to grab and it looks a little better. It actually looks a lot better in person than it does on video, but it comes out pretty good. First coat, you just put it on as thick as you can and try to make sure it's not like overdone. You could take some off with a towel, but you're going to want to get it to this level, you have to pretty much put it on thick. And the paper is under there as well, the paper side, and that came out pretty good. It's not going to be seen as much as the front though.